So you want to own a laundromat. No employees to manage, no customers to talk you into a sale, no inventory that spoils, just machines quietly turning quarters and app payments into cash while you sleep. It's the business people call boring on purpose, the dream of true passive income, sitting quietly in a strip mall next to a nail salon. Then you look at the numbers. A single new commercial washer can cost $1,500 to $15,000. A dryer, another $2,500 to $10,000. Multiply that by 30 or 40 machines, and before you've washed a single sock, you've already spent close to $300,000 just on equipment. And that's before rent, before plumbing, before the water bill arrives. There are more than 20,000 self-service laundromats across the United States, and industry data from the Coin Laundry Association puts long-term survival rates surprisingly high, somewhere around 90 to 95%. That's a strange number. Most small businesses don't survive that long. So why does a laundromat, of all things, outlast restaurants, gyms, and retail shops that seem far more exciting? And here's the real mystery. If it's this durable, why do so many owners describe it as one of the most misunderstood businesses in America? One that looks like a slot machine for cash, but behaves more like a small utility company with a plumbing problem. That's what we're going to take apart. Picture the laundromat you've actually walked past. Fluorescent lights, rows of machines, maybe a vending machine humming in the corner. It looks simple because it's designed to look simple. That's the entire point of the customer experience. But underneath that simplicity is a business built on some of the least glamorous inputs imaginable. Water pressure, gas lines, concrete flooring rated for steel drums spinning at high speed, and a piece of real estate chosen with the precision of a military campaign. We're going to walk through what it actually costs to open the doors, why the machines themselves are only the beginning, why utilities quietly become the single biggest threat to profit, why theft and vandalism are built into the business model rather than treated as rare events, and why the answer to "does this actually make money" depends on a handful of decisions made before a single customer ever walks in. Keep one number in mind as we go: 90 to 95% survival. By the end, you'll understand exactly what that number is hiding. Before you buy a single washer, you have to solve a puzzle that has nothing to do with laundry. Most people assume location just means somewhere convenient. In reality, laundromat location is closer to a demographic algorithm. Owners look for a specific ratio, a high percentage of renters, moderate household income, and, critically, a low number of competing laundromats within roughly a mile. Renters matter because homeowners already have a washer in their basement. Your entire customer base is people without one. This is where the first big misconception collapses. A laundromat isn't really competing with other laundromats. It's competing with every apartment building in the neighborhood that installs in-unit washers. Every time a new luxury complex opens with a washer-dryer hookup in each unit, a chunk of the addressable market disappears permanently. That single trend, in-unit laundry becoming a standard amenity rather than a luxury, has quietly reshaped where laundromats can even survive. So the land isn't just land, it's a bet on a neighborhood's demographic composition for the next decade. And that bet costs money before you've done anything else. Lease deposits for laundromat-suitable retail space typically run $1,500 to $5,000 a month, and that's before you've paid a contractor to rip open the floor. Because here's the part almost nobody outside the industry knows. Laundromats need three-phase electrical service and industrial-grade plumbing that most retail spaces were never built for. Renovation alone, plumbing, electrical upgrades, ventilation, floor reinforcement, can run $50,000 to $200,000 on top of the lease. You haven't bought a machine yet. You've already spent a small fortune finding somewhere legally and physically able to hold one. Now come the machines, and this is where the dream still feels alive. New commercial washers and dryers for a mid-sized location commonly add up to $150,000 to $300,000. Some full builds with premium high-capacity machines and payment kiosks push total startup costs past $500,000. At first glance, that looks like a straightforward capital expense. Spend once, collect quarters forever. In reality, the machines are the cheapest thing you'll pay for over the life of the business, because every wash cycle uses water, every dry cycle burns gas or electricity, and unlike a restaurant that can adjust its menu when costs rise, a laundromat is contractually stuck at whatever price is posted on the machine. Water, sewer, and gas together typically consume a significant share of a laundromat's monthly revenue, commonly cited in the 20 to 35% range industry-wide. That's not a rounding error. That's the difference between a profitable location and one quietly bleeding cash every single month. Here's the counterintuitive part. A busier laundromat isn't automatically a more profitable one. More cycles mean more water, more gas, more wear on machines needing repair. Revenue and cost rise together in laundry, almost in lockstep, in a way that doesn't happen in most retail businesses. A laundromat doesn't get more efficient as it scales the way a factory does. Each load costs roughly the same to run, whether it's your first customer of the day or your 50th. A laundromat doesn't sell service. It sells hot water, and hot water has never gotten cheaper. This is where the passive income myth takes its hardest hit. Most people assume a laundromat has no staffing costs because there's no cashier ringing up sales. In reality, someone still has to be the business. Coins have to be collected, machines break, lint traps clog, vandalism happens. Someone has to be reachable when a dryer catches fire from built-up lint, a real and recurring hazard the National Fire Protection Association has flagged for decades in commercial laundry facilities. Owner-operators often start by doing this themselves, which is why the passive label survives. It's passive for the owner only after they've absorbed the labor themselves or hired an attendant, which adds a real payroll line most newcomers never model. And then there's cash. A laundromat that still accepts coins is functionally holding a small vault that refreshes every single day. Coin theft and break-ins are common enough that security cameras and reinforced coin boxes are treated as standard equipment, not upgrades. This is a major reason the industry has been racing toward app-based and networked machine systems. Companies like CSC ServiceWorks, one of the largest operators of leased laundry equipment in apartment buildings across North America, have pushed hard into mobile payment and remote machine monitoring specifically to reduce cash handling and catch equipment failures before they become expensive. That shift into technology sounds like pure upside. It isn't free either. Payment kiosks and networked machine systems can add tens of thousands of dollars to a build-out. One commonly cited startup model puts kiosk technology alone at roughly $40,000 for a single location. So the no-employee business ends up paying, in a different form, for the same thing employees would have done, watching the money. Almost every machine you've ever used at a laundromat traces back to a small number of manufacturers, and one name dominates more than most people realize: Alliance Laundry Systems, based in Wisconsin and tracing its lineage back to 1908, makes the Speed Queen, Unimac, and Hubsch machines that show up under dozens of different laundromat brand names. It's a rare case where an entire consumer-facing industry is invisibly consolidated at the manufacturing level, while remaining almost completely fragmented at the ownership level. That fragmentation itself is revealing. Unlike hotels or gyms, laundry has no dominant national consumer brand, no Marriott of laundromats. The vast majority of locations are independently owned, one or two at a time, by operators who never intended to build an empire. That's not an accident. It's a business shaped by hyper-local economics. A laundromat's fortunes are tied so tightly to the block it sits on that scaling into a national chain doesn't produce the usual efficiencies. Rent, utility rates, and renter demographics differ too much from city to city for one playbook to work everywhere. The exception is the multifamily side of the business, where companies like CSC ServiceWorks operate machines inside apartment buildings under long-term leasing contracts with landlords, a quieter, larger-scale version of the same economics without ever opening a storefront at all. Not every laundromat survives that impressive 90 to 95% number. The failures tend to share a signature: undercapitalized owners who spent everything on equipment and construction, leaving no cushion for the slow ramp-up while a neighborhood learns the location exists. A laundromat rarely dies from one bad month. It dies from 6 of them in a row, while gas and water bills keep arriving regardless of how many customers walked in. The owners who quietly do well tend to have stopped thinking of themselves as running a laundromat at all. They've added wash, dry, fold service, often priced per pound, which can add 30 to 50% on top of self-service revenue. Some add vending, some add pickup and delivery routes, some pick up commercial contracts with local restaurants or salons that need linens cleaned every week, regardless of season. The self-service machines become the foundation of a small logistics business, not the entire business. That's the real answer to the mystery we opened with. The laundromat survives at a remarkably high rate, not because it's an easy business, but because it's a forgiving one. low customer acquisition cost, recurring and almost recession-proof demand, and a physical footprint that doesn't require constant reinvention. It survives the way a utility survives, unglamorous, essential, and stubbornly hard to kill even when it's badly run. But it only becomes genuinely profitable in the hands of someone willing to treat water bills, lint fires, and coin boxes with the same seriousness most entrepreneurs reserve for marketing. A laundromat doesn't make money because people need clean clothes. It makes money because someone, somewhere, did the unglamorous work of matching a neighborhood's water pressure, rental rate, and foot traffic to a room full of steel drums, and then kept showing up when a pipe burst at midnight. The next time you walk past one, notice what you don't see. The three-phase electrical panel behind the wall, the gas line sized for 40 dryers running at once, the owner who drove over at 6 a.m. because a machine wouldn't spin. The quarters were never really the product, the plumbing was. If you want the next business pulled apart this way, tell us in the comments which one. Car washes? Funeral homes? We're open to it. And if this changed how you'll ever look at a laundromat again, subscribe, because that's exactly what this channel exists to do.